things for sure to all the lease operators that are out there, contract operators that are out there, that this affects. Pretty much in 7 days, it will be illegal to be a lease operator in California, pretty much.
Yeah. And I can't stress enough, reach out to your assembly member, reach out to your Senate member, get the phones ringing to let them ask them, what are you going to do for me with California? But yeah, the Supreme Court has made a decision as of today not to look at the case. They denied cert, which means they will not be reviewing the case, and that it gets basically kicked down back to the Ninth Circuit, and that AB5 stands. It does become a law.
This is such a big, big ordeal that first thing, we definitely don't want to scare people.
Yeah, for sure.
Because can you introduce yourself, Greg, and just let people know, besides owning, you and your partners owning Liberty Line Haul West, you're, a truck driver yourself, a fleet owner yourself. 2 years ago, California president, the association. So what are you doing now?
Well, I'm chairman of the board for the California Trucking Association on my spare time from running Liberty Line Haul West. And that's my position here now with the association for the next year. Of course, been involved for years and years with the CTA to try to stay ahead of issues coming at us in trucking. And we've had a big issue put in front of us here today, Alex.
For everyone to understand this, the word owner operator sometimes gets thrown around kind of loosely. So let's just let people know that when they say it's going to affect 70,000 owner operators, that number is lease operators, correct?
Yeah, 70,000 lease operators. That's just a guesstimate with numbers. A hard guesstimate is probably on the lower side of owner operators that own their own truck and are leased to a company in that traditional model as far as trucking is concerned.
No, I got you. So, I got a text from you a day ago. We were thinking that Supreme Court was going into summer recess, so there was still a chance that we had about until October until they would deny or look at the AB5 law. And for the ones that don't understand this, it's already a law, and this was a petition for hopefully the Supreme Court to look at this so that we can revert it, correct?
Yes, there's two different decisions made in the country by two different federal circuit courts. So it was going to the Supreme Court to say, which decision are you going to go with here? Because, and it was the CTA, California Trucking Association, that took it that level on that journey to try to get the Supreme Court to look at it. And we got notice here today. But yeah, the Supreme Court has made a decision as of today not to look at the case. They denied cert, which means they will not be reviewing the case, and that it gets basically kicked down back to the Ninth Circuit, and that AB5 stands. That it does become a law.
So what does that mean today? If you're a lease operator, there's a couple things that people are worried about. For one, a lot of people in California are lease operators, just like everywhere else in the States. But if they were talking about supply chain issues, bottlenecks with the ports before, majority of those guys and gals are lease operators, right?
Yes. And what that means is 7 days from today, AB5 does become the law of the land. That technically, to be a leased operator to a motor carrier, to do business with the same type of business that the other company's in, that becomes illegal unless you're carved out. And this is one thing with AB5. There's over 100 carve outs of different industries that got out of this law. Attorneys, doctors, all got carved out here, right? First off, real estate agents, so many different facets, because this law was meant for trucking. That's what it's meant for, and an attack on our industry. Well, going forward, right now we have 7 days till, like I say, it becomes law of the land. several California-based carriers, I'm sure, are looking at this hard, and in the next few days have to make some hard decisions what they're going to do. Everybody's got their own business model, and everybody has their own ability to absorb risk. Like, what is the risk as far as being caught is concerned? This isn't something that's going to be enforced on a level of DOT at a scale. That's not where it's going to be enforced. It's going to be enforced through an audit process by labor entities. That's how this is going to happen. So, like I say, every company is going to analyze that and see where they stand here going forward. Some have set themselves up where they've said, if you're from California, like just a large motor carrier said, we can't have you as a lease operator. You cannot bring your tractor on board and lease on to us if you're based out of California. Some have made that decision prior to make sure that they could absorb what's happening here today. Others didn't.
So let's have this conversation, because I had a good conversation with my buddy that owns a fleet outside of California, which he's blessed to own one at the moment, right? And you yourself, you actually your company's in California, but all your guys are W-2 or W-9, correct?
Well, I've got a handful of owner operators, and these were all company drivers that wanted to become owner operators, and it's a very small amount. But we have to look at what we're going to do risk-wise going forward. We've been given our own counsel of what to do, but technically what those guys do right as in 7 days is going to be illegal, because they're leased on to us, operate under our authority. It's their own truck. They went out and purchased, got financing, did their whole deal, and we got to look ourselves at what we're going to be doing as a company.
Wow. So, just to make it clear for people to know this, DOT, FMCSA, those type of people aren't going to be the type of people that are going after you. You might get a knock on the door. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be in 7 days, but it might be from some auditor from California.
Yeah.
And they're going to be checking you. And when that happens, have they said what will happen to you?
No, there's right now, it's as far as oversight is concerned, that's going to be the question: is who's going to enforce this? Who's going to go out and make an action? There's a lot of low-hanging fruit here in California, specifically in the port world, where they're the ones that I believe are going to be subject to that. Where if there's going to be anything that this stems from, it's going to be in the port world to start with. And like I say, it's right now it's becoming law of the land, and we all know that just where we stand when it comes to inflation, when it comes to the cost of equipment, those that have maintained their own trucks to get in the industry, this is a time to reach out. It is a law, but to reach out to your assembly member, your Senate members in different states. If you're hauling turkey out of Minnesota to California every week, if you're a mover that comes in and out of California, reach out to your own state assembly member and say, what is going to happen with me now? I do work within California. Make them aware of it to create momentum. I know at CTA, of course, we're huddling up with our attorneys to figure out what the next steps are going to be. But we're also holding close our relationships with state government to say, okay, this is the law. Now, what are you going to do? Because you need to give us a guideline of where to go. And that goes right to as high as the governor to say, okay, we're in a massive there's of course a supply chain issues that we are aware of already. This is just going to make this explode here, right? So what are you going to do with this going forward? Because in 7 days, if things change dramatically, it's going to be national news here, right?
And that's okay. So, you brought up a great point right there, and I don't know if you can answer this yet because it's so gray area as of now.
Yeah.
But most of the goods that come into California are from lease operators, and so, if you're from Wisconsin or one of the states that we talked about, and you're a lease operator, now is it going to be like DEF where when you hit California, you can't go in, or is that going to be that gray area there, or is it only affecting people that have a California CDL?
No, technically it affects those coming in from out of state as well, because you're doing business in the state. That level of enforcement mind you, I'm sure that that level of exposure is a whole lot less when you're coming in from out of state doing it that way. But technically, it's painting everybody with that broad brush, like I mentioned before.
Wow. So people, I'm telling you, this is serious business here. If your business, you didn't think it was going to affect you, and you live in Arizona or Texas and you're like, I'm lucky my guys aren't there. Well, if you have a lot of contracts coming into California, well, it does affect you, right? And now me and my buddy we were talking about this ways around it, right? So, okay. First thing that we were thinking was, most of the time when you want to get your authority, it could take 45 to 60 days to get your own authority.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're giving you 7 days, I mean, there could be a lot of people just sitting, right? And so, that's a big question there. I wonder if they're going to have any time constraints really on this, because if they're asking people to get their authority, it takes a lot longer than 7 days to get one.
Oh, for sure. Between authority, getting insurance, being a standalone business, just with a lot of great operators are, but the majority are leased to a company, and now you've got to go out and get your own authority, insurance. All of that takes time.
No, I hear you. So we were thinking this, would this work or not? And you probably thought of this as well, is if I was a lease operator right now, can I lease my equipment to, like, if I work for you as a lease operator, Greg, can I lease my equipment to you and then you pay me as a driver?
There's so many different models, Alex. Like there's so many different models that you can look at. There's to the idea of paying somebody as like being a regular employee driver, then like you say, leasing their equipment from them. There's going and getting your own authority. The thing with getting your own authority is, of course, just you have to prove that there is no control from your customer during the normal course of business. So what you have to do is do work with various entities. I talked before about holding relationships, about how to make your way through this with making sure you have relationships. Well, usually as a one-man show, you would be a single owner operator that would be leased to a company and handling a certain line of work from them and them only, because that keeps you busy enough. Well, now you have to show that you can do work with multiple entities, different brokers, for example, that nobody's holding you down to one line of work, that you've got multiple relationships and that you're fluid to do what you want.
So, there's so much gray area on this, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. I'm going to have you back on the show once you figure out what those outlines are. But one thing's for sure, to all the lease operators that are out there, contract operators that are out there, that this affects, pretty much in 7 days, it will be illegal to be a lease operator in California, pretty much.
Yeah. And I can't stress enough, reach out to your assembly member, reach out to your Senate member, get the phones ringing to let them, ask them, what are you going to do for me with California? Because like I say, if you're in Minnesota, you're in Florida, you're going to make that phone ring to California. And this is going to open people's eyes to how dynamic this could be. So I can't stress that enough.
Right. Because it's a shame that it'll get to the point where I could see after 7 days, hardworking Americans are feeling like they're doing something illegal just to keep the economy going and providing for themselves. That's just such a shame,
Absolutely. And they're just trying to live the American dream.
I'm telling you, it's tripped day by day, right? No, I appreciate you so much for being on the show today, and hopefully you guys have a plan A, B, and C, because that's what's taken now in a D and an E and an F, right, in this business.
Yeah. We're working our way through the process, and we're going to be fighting this right to the end, just to take it now on a state level, as far as what's going to happen going forward here. So stay tuned, and I'll get information as it comes towards me.
All right, thanks. Thanks for being on the show. We'll have you on the show soon again as you found out anything. I mean, this is so important because I'm originally from California, so this definitely breaks my heart. So thanks again, Greg. I appreciate you.
You got it, Alex.
Bye.